All right, we're back here with part 5, and I had said last time there was a couple of things I was thinking about, and I wanted to get your take on it. I just a little background. I had a day where I was doing something new. I was doing something for the first time, and I wasn't getting it, and it just wasn't coming to me naturally, and I saw it coming naturally to other people, and it frustrated me. And I was upset for like the entire day, even though it really wasn't that big of a deal. But for the entire day, I was just like, why couldn't you get that? Like, why couldn't you pick it up? And I was just so upset. And it really wasn't a big deal. But I realized, and people have told me this about myself, that I'm very hard on myself. I hold myself to a very high standard where I expect more from myself than I expect from other people. And in some regards, that's a good thing, but in some regards, it's not, because like I spent a whole day brewing over something that really wasn't significant, only because I couldn't perform, or I wasn't perfect or whatever. So I started thinking, like, this whole thing of being hard on yourself, is it a good thing or is it a bad thing? Because on one side, if you're hard on yourself, you hold yourself to a high standard, that means you're going to keep trying and trying until you get there. So success should be around the corner. It's good to have high standards. But on the flip side, you're never really giving yourself credit for what you have done, because you're always thinking you could have done better or done more. And that's not healthy either. So what do you think about this whole thing as far as being hard on yourself? I mean, do you think that's a good, a bad thing? Or, I mean, do you identify with that at all?
I do. I think you just have to always try and strike a balance, which I guess as in everything, it's a very hard thing to do, because I do think you have to be hard on yourself to some degree, because that's how you push yourself. You know, you do push yourself to do more and to strive more, but you also have to give yourself a break in knowing that if you know truly that you've given your best, then you have to just let it go on the cutting room floor, as they say. Like, you know, there are certain things where you've got to like let go and like, okay, I did my best, and like leave it as where it is. And then there are things where you know innately that you can do better, or you can do over the next day, or do better the next time. Then you do better the next time. You know.
See, then that's go ahead.
Go ahead.
See, that's the thing. That's the key where you said you have to, what'd you say? You know you did your best.
Yeah,
you have to let it go.
When you know you've done your best at something, sometimes you have to leave it where it is. Like, you have to say, I did my best, and not beat yourself up for, you know, wherever that best may be, even though your expectation may have thought could have been beyond that. Sometimes, because we tend to think, thinking outside ourselves and higher is great, but sometimes we don't always strive there. That's why there's always this fight in human beings in general.
Yeah.
We're not always going to get there. So there are times when we have to concede and be like, okay, I thought I was going to be at the top of over there, but I'm really here. And at this point, I can't beat myself up for not being there. I got to be thankful and give in to where I'm at right now. And then there's some things that you could go, I'm not there today, but I know I can do it tomorrow or next month or by whatever. And you continue to reach for that, so to speak.
See, yeah, because I think that the problem is, and this is probably the issue, is when you said, I know I did my best. And the frustration is in that my best wasn't good enough. And then it's like, shit, if that was my best, and that wasn't enough, well, that doesn't say much about me. That's how I guess I'm processing it.
Yourself, or enough compared to who? What do you compare?
Enough like if I didn't succeed at whatever it is and I tried my best, then I'm mad because I'm saying I gave it my best and I still couldn't do it. Like, it's one thing to say, okay, I didn't try as hard as I could. Hey, I could have tried harder. But if I did, it's like if I studied for an exam and I did all the things I was supposed to do and I still didn't do it, then you start to look at yourself like, I'm a fucking loser. Like, if I did everything I could and I still couldn't do it, then there's something wrong with me. I guess that's the way
coming in, because there's certain things that you're never going to be your best at. That's just the ego. Like, there's certain things you're not going to be the best at everything that you try to set out to do.
Oh, well, see, that's the thing. I don't try things that I don't know that. This is going to sound bad, but I tend not to try stuff that I don't think that I can be great at.
Right.
So and that's bad.
Try to subscribe to that. But then that's when you realize that that's when you come to the end of the day. At the end of that, that's when you come to find out that you aren't best at that, even though you thought you were then.
What?
I said, well, then that's the test. You go out thinking, well, that's something that that's something that I know I can eventually conquer.
Yeah.
And when you start to do it, you realize that's in knowing it. That's in now the realization of once you started and you realize, well, I can't.
Yeah.
There's going to be things. there are times when you think you get into something thinking that I'm going to beat this, and you can't.
Yeah. And I guess acceptance is the key,
yeah.
you know. Or like you said, realizing, and maybe not today.
Right.
But,
right.
you know, but that's that whole, you know, because I look at like, if I wouldn't, if I had a friend who was as hard on me as I am on myself, I wouldn't be friends with her.
Right.
You know, like if I had a chick constantly in the background, oh shit, you didn't do that? You couldn't do that? Why didn't you do that? I'd be like, I'm gonna roll with this chick. She's tearing me down.
Right.
But I do it to myself. You know?
You shouldn't.
But then on the flip side, you hear some people who are really successful are those people who are really hard on themselves. Like they're athletes who like, where you were like, okay, that was good enough. But they're like, no, I got to do more. And then they're the ones who become the greatest of something. And they do what most people won't do. But that's how they're the greatest because
But I think they got to the great because they, at some point along the journey of being so hard on themselves, they had to learn to forgive themselves for not always completing it because the only reason why you're hard on yourself is because you had the timeline as to when you could defeat that particular thing.
Mm-hmm.
So people are only great or become great, and we see them as great in the finished product because only we see as finished product.
Mm-hmm.
But they at some point had to forgive themselves in the times, all the 100 times that they failed.
Yeah, that's
because
true.
Anybody that's successful has failed, and they have had to swallow in the fail.
Mm-hmm.
And the only way they got good at it is because they accepted I failed at this and came back from it.
Yeah.
If they never accepted the failure, then they would never become great because they would still be in the failure. You understand what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So we just don't see the 100 times that they failed.
That's true.
We see the
end
finished
product.
But those people had to have forgiven themselves.
Yeah.
To have gotten to that point.
To keep trying, you're right.
Yeah, they've gotten the nose, they didn't get the trophy, whatever it is, they got, bankrupt, whatever it is that they got set back from, they had to sit in it and be like, oh shit, I fucked up. Oh, this is not going well. Yeah. How do I, you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
And accept, okay, I've been trying at this for the longest time and I'm still not doing it. Let me forgive myself and be where I'm at right now, but I'm going to still figure out a way to probably do it differently and rise above it. And then they did. And then now we see them and now they're great athletes, great entrepreneurs or whatever like that because of they had to sit in failure.
That's true. That's true. They do say that, like I think Oprah said in her Oprah's master class or whatever, I think when Steve Harvey was on and they have a room full of people, he said, I bet you that Oprah and I have failed more than anybody else in this room.
Right.
And everybody's like, what? Nah. But again, they only got to where they are by, what they say, fail your way to success. So.
Yeah. So, you have to surrender into it. Here goes the surrender.
Yeah.
You have to fail and fail big. And that's what it is. You're hard on yourself because you're catching the small failures before the big failures. Sometimes maybe you need to fail big. Have you failed? You probably failed big before.
Of course I have.
Yeah. Why you so, yeah. So,
I failed big.
But you came back from the failing of the big.
This is
no
true.
one sees anything that anybody's going to attribute to what you have right now is nothing that they saw on the background work for it.
Yeah, that's true.
No one saw the background work for it.
That's true. Yeah.
So I think you are on the right track. I don't think you're hard on yourself I think you're hard on yourself the way you're supposed to be. And I think you will get to a point where you start to figure out when to let things go and when not to.
Yeah.
I don't think it's a bad thing.
Okay.
Is what I'm saying, yeah.
All right. I can swallow that. That makes sense. All right, another question. Okay, so now you know that saying in The Secret, ask, believe, and receive, right?
Oh, I hate The Secret. Go ahead.
Why? I like The Secret.
All right.
Why do you hate it? Let's talk about it. Why do
I get the concept of it, and I have other books that kind of says the same thing, but it seems so, to me, The Secret seems more mystical than pragmatism as, I love As a Man Thinketh.
Okay.
Right? That little book. And it's based on your thoughts and the decisions you make from 1 minute to the next. So, every little thing in the now makes a big difference in the future. And if you were to really just be conscious of those things, which is hard to do, you'll see how those little things add up to the big things, and we always blame circumstances, but we draw circumstances to us.
But I think The Secret is along the same lines.
Yeah, and I agree. I think The Secret is along the same line, but they give you this kind of ask. It's almost like you almost, and I almost kind of if you put it in put it in a box or put it in a thing, then it's gonna come. But I think I guess because it doesn't really venture into thought. It doesn't seem like it ventures into thought. It seems to venture into something more outside of yourself than inside of yourself. But it may not be.
Did you read it?
No, but the way other people talk about it, and I've seen the little videos of it, it just seems so.
I hear you. I can see where it can come off a little mystical.
It seems like you're rooting for something outside of yourself than you are making the accountability of your everyday, the day intrinsics.
Well, I think that a lot of it is interpretation of The Secret. Because everybody's going to interpret it different ways. The parts I've read of it were more, because I think it's almost like the same thing you're talking about. It's more about the law of attraction.
Okay.
Which I believe in. And so it's more about
the vibration of the universe.
Yeah, and saying things and putting it out into the universe and saying things out loud. The power of the spoken word of, things of that nature. So, no, I don't think that, it should be say it, sit on your ass and wait for it to come. I think, I think, obviously work comes in it and you got to do your part. And then if, you take it to a spiritual level, it's the same thing with praying to God. You pray and you do your part, and then you pray for him to do the part that you can't do.
And you know what else I don't like about The Secret? The testimonials.
Oh, okay, yeah.
There's a lot of testimonials that's kind of I asked for a man, and I thought about it, and I went away, and I went to work, and I forgot about it, and I wasn't really looking. And I get it. I get how that can still come to you because your intentions are in the work that you're doing, even though you're not conscious of it or not. But it almost makes it seem like when they make their testimony, and he showed up at my job, like that thing, really, he just popped up.
Yeah. I think that they sensationalize some of it so that they can get people to buy in. Yeah. It's almost like when you see those commercials for eHarmony and shit. We met on eHarmony. We've been married for 10 years. And, is that the norm? No. But, you need those to get people to, believe it could be them,
Right.
But I guess the question kind of just, it piggybacks off of the whole law of attraction, The Secret. It's about how do you recognize when you are receiving what you've asked for? Whether it's if you ask because through, positive thinking, whether you ask through prayer. I think unless it's something when it's an ambiguous request, as opposed to it's not like, oh God, I want a new job. And if you got a new job, you've gotten it. But when it's I want peace of mind. I want, whatever, I want more, enriching friendships. I want a better relationship with so-and-so, or things that just aren't tangible, that aren't really that easy to define. How do you know when it's happened, or do you ever really know? Because I think we're so caught in the day to day, and these things happen. So, what's the word? They kind of just happen so small, step by step, that at what point do you wake up and say, you know what? I prayed for this, or I asked for this, or I've always wanted this, and now I have it. Do you get what I'm saying?
Yeah, I get exactly what you're saying.
Okay.
I did that half of last year, and just on basic things. And the only way I know is, that's why I know it isn't a day-to-day. There are times when I was short on paying something, or I paid something, or bought something, or I had to pay something and was short on either my rent or something like that, and I would always go, all right, I'm not going to worry too much about how I'm going to get the money. I'm going to make the money somehow, some way. And the little things, as in people gave up, like, there are times when people just gave up shifts just willy-nilly. And I remember thinking, this is it. I asked for extra money, extra thing in order to help me out for the month or for whatever it is because I needed it. And I recognize it as such because it came to me and, I had to pick up a shift and I had to work for it.
Yeah.
But it was one of those, like, here you go, that's money. And there are times when I was taking so many shifts. I was working like 6 days a week and I was like, damn, should I really be doing this? And there are times when they would be like, they would ask me, Stacey, can you do this? And I would look at the text and be like, I don't want to do this. And then I'll think, oh, you asked for money. Did you ask for money? Did you ask that you want that extra $100 and you want an extra da-da-da? Here it is right there. You know, and so in those times, and in the negative, I used to always anticipate, like when I did a year, I almost made it a year without having any like parking tickets. And towards the end of the year, I kept thinking though, every time I was thinking I don't want to get a ticket, I was getting up and moving my car and do all types of things, like down to December doing it well. But in the back of my mind throughout all the time of me doing really be diligent moving my car, I used to always think, because I used to park on this like, it's almost like a Linden Boulevard type thing. It's called La Brea. And I was always moving my car. I used to always walk into my car. I used to always have this thought all the time that popped in my head, like, what if my car gets towed one day? What if my car, da-da-da? And I'm like, no. And all the thinking, I was thinking this all this time. Come December, I parked my car on that same street, the 19th, just last month. And I parked it on a day that I thought it was a Saturday, but it was a Friday. I think I told you. And I popped up out of my bed, and the minute I turned the corner, my car was on that flatbed.
Wow.
And it's because all those months I kept
worrying about it.
I brought it into existence. I brought that shit into existence. Just like I brought those shifts and those money in those ways, just as good, just as bad. So it's like those little things. Yeah. I definitely believe that.
Yeah.
That's why every time I try to think of, if I think about something negative or I think about something, I try to stop it really quickly. Yeah. And fill it with something else, because you will bring it to your existence. Yeah, that's true. Because that's my fear. My biggest fear was getting towed. Yeah. And at the very last month of the year, I got towed and I got a ticket. But only one ticket. And I was almost a couple weeks shy of not getting a ticket for anything the entire year.
Wow. Yeah, that's definitely an example.
Yeah.
No, it is
and
true.
And those times when I didn't want to work, but I said I wanted money. Yeah. And no shift. And I remember thinking I was going to refuse it and be like, and then in my mind, I'm like, but you asked for more money. This is more money. Not the way you may want it, but it's more money.
Yeah, see, that's true. See, that's, sometimes it comes in a way where you, like you said, it's not clear. It's not like somebody sends you a check. Or, you overpaid your taxes. Here's $5,000. You know what I'm saying? That would be like genie-like. Like, I want money. Poof, open your mailbox. There it is.
Sometimes exceptionally that comes, but it's very rare.
Yeah, that's not the norm. Usually, I think it will come in some kind of, like you said, some part where you got to do your part. And the opportunity will present itself. And now you take advantage of the opportunity.
Right.
Because again, like the law of attraction, writing things down is a big thing, and vision boards and all that shit. And so it's like writing out what you want and what you need. And it's like, I remember writing these things that I wanted, and now I'm still not there, but I'm seeing some vague resemblance to some of the things I wrote. Right. Although it's coming in a different form. Yeah. But some of the things that I said I wanted, I have this new job opportunity, and although it's not as fruitful as I would like it to be, or at least not yet, I'm looking at some of the features, and I'm like, I always said, I want a job with flexible hours. I want to work with like-minded people. I want to...
You were specific.
Yeah, like just saying, like, these are the kind, I want to be good at what I do. I want to be valued. I want to be able to help people. Like, these are the things that I said I wanted, like, in my ideal job. And now I look at this thing that I'm, starting, and I'm like, even though it's not packaged perfectly like that, like, I guess in my head when I wrote that stuff down, I was thinking, like, I'm going to get an offer, for a director position or an executive such and such, and I'm going to get this big bonus, and, like, it was just going to be like I was going to show up one day and everything was just going to be laid out to me. Right. But it's not like that. It's kind of piecemeal, and there's opportunity for things that I do have to work for, but the opportunity is there. Right. And now I'm trying to, like, figure out, like, is this what I asked for? I'm not sure.
Or maybe you weren't specific enough. So
I was specific.
You were?
I
Okay.
was. I took that to know. I were, specific. I left out, like, I didn't say what company and all that shit, because that it can come because basically the way I read it is that the things you want, realize that they can come to you in different forms. Like if I say my goal is to help people, helping people could be in medicine, it could be in therapy, it could be in whatever. You can still achieve that, but you can achieve it in several different industries. So they're like, don't be so specific that the only way your dream is going to be accomplished is if it comes out exactly the way you wrote it, because it's kind of counterproductive to your goals.
Okay.
So you want money, you can earn money a lot of different ways. You want stability, you can get stability a lot of different ways. It's kind of like just thinking more about the attributes that you wanted, as opposed to
what the actual thing you're doing to get it.
Yeah, as to how it's going to come into your hands. Okay, I'm just going to stop here for a second because we're getting at 20 minutes. I don't want to go over, but I want to continue this.